Chapter 3644. 10,000 Dragon Seals. I don't believe that the 10,000 dragon seals that have been laid down for tens of stellar years can stop me. Today, I must open up a gap and kill that little bastard. The Winged Men tribe's almighty roared as his divine power erupted. The universe's starry sky exploded continuously, revealing a large area of nothingness. Such a scene was simply too terrifying. If there were planets around, they would have exploded. Fortunately, there were no more planets around the dragon race's mother star. That star was associated with the dragon race's mother star. It was no small matter and could not be destroyed. Outside the dragon race's mother star, there were originally countless figures gathered. They were all sky prides from various races. Their cultivation was at the 4th level divine lord realm and above, and they were prepared to find an opportunity to enter the dragon race's mother star. However, after the Winged Men tribe's almighty arrived, they had already retreated an infinite distance away to avoid being affected. Boom! The Winged Men tribe's almighty spread out his wings and flapped vigorously. Suddenly, countless golden feathers flew out and turned into golden battle swords that blasted towards the dragon race's mother star. The dragon's roar was heard again, and it was even more intense. Countless divine dragons appeared and blocked the golden swordlight. Open up! The Winged Men tribe's almighty roared as he clenched his fists. Countless golden sword lights gathered to form an incomparably huge battle sword that slashed towards the dragon race's mother star. He wanted to open up a gap in the 10,000 dragon seals. He only needed to create a small gap. He had 100 ways to kill Lu Ming if he created a small gap. However, he had obviously underestimated the 10,000 dragon seals. Roar! A violent dragon's roar was heard, and an incomparably huge figure of a 9-clawed dragon appeared. Its entire body seemed to have solidified. It was like a real 9-clawed dragon, lifelike and lifelike. The 9-clawed dragon's dragon claws reached out and grabbed the golden battle sword. Then, with a forceful squeeze, the golden battle sword shattered and dissipated into energy. The Winged Men tribe's almighty's body shook, and he could not help but retreat. Damn it! The mighty figure of the Winged Men clan roared in his heart. He had used almost all of his strength just now, but he still couldn't break the 10,000 dragon seal. He couldn't even break a single crack. Brothery, let this old man lend you a hand. Right at this moment, a hoarse and ear-piercing voice rang out. After that, another figure appeared beside the mighty figure of the Winged Men. This figure was also incomparably huge. Its enormous body filled the starry sky, blotted out the sky, and cast a large shadow. From afar, one could see that this was an old man. He wore a black robe, and there was a black mist lingering around his body. The Wu people are the almighty of the Wu people. Someone shouted. Apparently, this enormous figure was a grand cultivator of the Wu people. He was at the same level as the grand cultivator of the Winged Men clan. You're here too. You came at the right time. Let's work together and break the 10,000 dragon seal. We only need to break a tiny bit. The almighty being of the Winged Men clan said. All right, let's attack together. The hoarse voice of the grand cultivator of the Wu people rang out. In the next moment, he made his move. The body of the grand cultivator of the Wu people glowed. Then, a figure crawled out from his body. This figure looked like a devil. It was a soul puppet refined from a soul. The soul puppet roared and charged towards the 10,000 dragon seal. At the same time, the grand cultivator of the Winged Men clan made his move again. The golden battle sword condensed once more, and he wanted to break the 10,000 dragon seal. Roar! The dragon roar rang out again. The 9-clawed dragon roared angrily. Its body emitted a dazzling light as it charged towards the soul puppet and the golden battle sword. The soul puppet and the 9-clawed dragon tangled together, and the void exploded. Then, the golden battle sword slashed the 9-clawed dragon's head. Boom! The 9-clawed dragon's head was directly cut open. A deep sword wound appeared, and half of it exploded. We're going to win. On the dragon race's mother planet, the sky prides of the Winged Men clan who had escaped earlier were ecstatic when they saw this scene. Ha ha ha! The Grand Ancestor is going to break the 10,000 dragon seal. Lu Ming, that brat, is doomed. The sky prides of the Wing Min clan laughed loudly. That grand cultivator of the Wing Min clan was one of the grand ancestors of the Wing Min clan. The 10,000 dragon seal has been weakened after such a long time. It can no longer withstand the grand ancestor's attack. Let's see how arrogant that brat is. The sky prides of the Wing Min clan were ecstatic. Not only that, but those who had a grudge against Lu Ming were also ecstatic. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. They can't really break it, right? Lu Ming did not have much confidence in his heart. Don't worry. With the strength of these two guys, they can't break the 10,000 dragon seal. Bone Demon said in his sea of consciousness. How do you know? Lu Ming didn't believe it. Why wouldn't I know? Although these two guys are quite strong, I can kill them with a slap when I'm at my peak. Bone Demon said disdainfully. You're so strong? Who are you? Lu Ming asked. He was really curious about Bone Demon's identity. He had asked him before, but Bone Demon never answered. It was the same this time. You don't have the right to know who I am now. Your strength is too weak. Do you understand? Bone Demon said disdainfully. Lu Ming was speechless. However, after hearing Bone Demon's words, Lu Ming finally felt relieved. Along the way, Gumo's words were indeed true. Outside the planet, the battle was extremely fierce. The Wing Min clan and the Wu people joined forces and finally defeated the nine-clawed dragon. Many people exclaimed, thinking that the 10,000 dragon seal was really going to be broken. However, right at the moment when the nine-clawed divine dragon disappeared, a dragon claw suddenly shot out. This dragon claw was huge and boundless, and it grabbed at the Wing Min clan and the Wu people. This dragon claw, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This dragon claw was exactly the same as the last dragon claw he encountered when he entered the dragon clan's mother planet. However, the current one was many times larger and stronger than the previous one. Boom! When the dragon claw reached out, the soul puppet was directly caught. Kakaka! The soul puppet let out ear-piercing screams and struggled wildly. Everyone had witnessed how powerful the soul puppet was, but now they couldn't break free no matter how hard they tried. Not good, give me a hand. The Wu people almighty roared, his face pale. He kept urging his divine power to struggle with the soul puppet. At the same time, the Wing Min clan almighty also attacked. The golden battle sword slashed at the dragon claw. However, before the golden battle sword could reach its target, the dragon claw clenched its fist and the soul puppet exploded with a loud bang. Puff! The Wu people almighty seemed to have suffered a backlash. His body shook violently, and he coughed up blood and retreated. After the dragon claw crushed the soul puppet, it turned and continued to grab the golden battle sword. Chapter 36:45. The dragon claw grabbed at the golden battle sword. With one grab, the golden battle sword collapsed. Then, the dragon claw continued to grab at the sorcerer tribe and the Wing Min clan. The dragon claw grew larger and larger. In the end, it seemed to have completely enveloped the mighty figures of the sorcerer tribe and the Wing Min clan. It seemed as if it was going to claw them to death. Block it! The two higher beings were greatly shocked. They roared and attacked together, exploding out with all of their strength towards the dragon claw. Boom! There was an earth-shattering explosion. Dazzling light spread in all directions. In the end, the two huge figures retreated rapidly. They were the two mighty figures from the Wing Min clan and the sorcerer tribe. They staggered backward and spat out blood. Their faces were ghastly pale, and they were shocked. Roar! The dragon claw continued to charge toward the Winged Min tribe and the sorcerer tribe as it let out a deafening roar. Let's go! The two Winged Min and the Wu people didn't dare to stay. They flashed and disappeared in the sky. He actually retreated, not daring to stay. The geniuses on the dragon race's mother planet were dumbfounded. The situation had changed so quickly. Previously, they had thought that the two empty gods from the Winged Min tribe and the sorcerer tribe would succeed. However, in the next moment, the two empty gods were injured. They did not dare to stay any longer and escaped immediately. The geniuses of the Winged Min and those who had a grudge against Lu Ming were especially disappointed. Whoosh! Lu Ming heaved a long sigh of relief. He felt as though a huge rock had been lifted from his heart. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't nervous and didn't feel any pressure. Those were the ancestral patriarchs of the Wu people and the winged men. They were top experts and were famous even in the primitive universe. They were definitely stronger than divine emperors. Such an expert, even with the 10,000 dragon seal blocking him, still gave him a lot of pressure. With his current strength, if he didn't have the 10,000 dragon seals, they could kill him 10 times or even 100 times. The difference was too big. Compared to the Your Wilds universe, he was still very insignificant and weak. But Lu Ming was confident that as long as he was given time, he would grow very quickly. In the end, he would be able to trample those people under his feet. All the geniuses on the dragon race's mother planet, listen up. If anyone can kill Lu Ming, I'll promise him one thing. As long as it's within my power, I'll definitely help him. Suddenly, a voice came from the vast universe and spread across the dragon race's mother planet. It was the voice of the winged men. Everyone immediately knew who it was. Then, many people's eyes began to burn. Everyone's gaze was fixed on Lu Ming. Their eyes were burning with passion. As long as Lu Ming was killed, the Almighty from the Winged Men clan would agree to a condition of that person. As long as it was within the power of that Almighty, he would be able to do it. This condition was simply too tempting. What kind of status did the mighty figure of the Winged Men clan have? How powerful was he? The value of one of his conditions was unimaginably high. When many people looked at Lu Ming, their eyes were filled with killing intent. If you want to kill me, you'll have to be prepared to be killed by me. Lu Ming held the Overlord's spear in his hand. His fighting spirit soared as his eyes swept across the surroundings. Those who were swept by his gaze felt their hearts beat faster and couldn't help but retreat. At this moment, they remembered how terrifying Lu Ming was. Those who wanted to kill Lu Ming were all dead now. Even Lei was killed. How could they deal with Lu Ming? Of course, there were many of them at the scene, and there was no lack of top-notch geniuses who had already broken through to the 4th-level Divine Lord realm, or even the 5th-level Divine Lord realm. With so many of them attacking together, they could also annihilate Lu Ming using the human wave tactic. But who would go first? Without a doubt, the person who went first would be in the most danger and would most likely be killed by Lu Ming. They all wanted others to go first, so for a moment, no one made a move. Looks like you don't dare to make a move, Lu Ming said in a cold voice, his voice carrying faint mockery, then turned around and strode away. The places that he passed by, the various races' heaven's prides did not dare to stop him at all, one after another dispersing, opening up a path for Lu Ming. Very soon, Lu Ming disappeared from this place. A condition of the winged men race's major power. Watch him slip away helplessly just like that? Someone said unwillingly. Then what can we do? Lu Ming, this person is seriously too monstrous. Just a 3rd-level Divine Lord, and he's already so strong. If you dare to go up, you go up. I absolutely won't stop you. Better you go. I won't stop you either. Everyone shot their mouths off. Naturally, no one dared to pursue. We're not Lu Ming's match, but it doesn't mean that no one can kill Lu Ming. Don't forget, the ones who entered the dragon race's homeworld more than 30 years ago weren't just Lei alone. Suddenly, someone spoke up coldly. Everyone's hearts trembled. That's right. The Heaven's Prides who entered more than 30 years ago were not just Lei alone. Some top clans also had Heaven's Prides who entered alive. Let's go. Let's spread this news. There will naturally be people who will go and ask for Lu Ming's head. Let's go. Many people spoke up and left this place one after another. After Lu Ming left Blue Wave Lake, he did not return to Black Dragon Valley. The winged men race's major power promised enormous benefits to get people to kill him. Since no one made a move previously, there was no guarantee that no one would make a move later on. Also, there were those Heaven's Prides who entered the dragon race's homeworld more than 30 years ago. Through the battle with Lei, Lu Ming clearly understood the terror of these Heaven's Prides. These people had entered several decades ago. Each and every one of their cultivation was unimaginably deep. Lei was not considered a top monster and was already so powerful. If a few top monsters came, Lu Ming would really not be a match. Or perhaps, if a 7th-level Divine Lord existence came, Lu Ming would also have to run away obediently. Therefore, if he returned to Black Dragon Valley, he might implicate the people of Black Dragon Valley. It would at least be better if he was not around. Not long after, Lu Ming found a hidden place. In a rather remote place, there was a crack in the ground. After entering the place, he found that there was a rather wide underground space below. Sitting cross-legged, dozens of storage rings appeared in Lu Ming's hand. They were all obtained from the winged men race's heaven's prides. Lu Ming first took out Lei Yi's storage ring and looked at it. With one look, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. There were indeed gains. Lu Ming directly ignored some ordinary refining materials, pills, divine artifacts, and divine crystals. His gaze fell on some divine herbs. There were dozens of divine herbs, each of them extremely rich in life energy. More than half of them were actually divine herbs useful for divine emperors. This kind of divine herb's medicinal effect was astonishing. It was very difficult for divine lords to refine it, so Lei Yi kept it. In addition, there were Genesis grass and heavenly source fruits. There were a total of 7 Genesis grasses. There were a total of 15 heavenly source fruits. They were placed in 2 crystal clear boxes. A huge gain, an absolutely huge gain. Lu Ming's eyes shone with a scorching light. Chapter 3646. Lu Ming couldn't refine those divine herbs for the time being, but he could refine the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit to increase Lu Ming's battle strength. Lu Ming speculated that Lei Yi had left the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit behind because he had reached a bottleneck. Lei Yi's divine origin power factor had already awakened 6 times, and the next step would be the 7th awakening. The 6th to 7th awakening was too difficult, and definitely not achievable with just 5 Genesis grass. In addition, Lei Yi's secret origin technique had severed 2 shackles, but to sever 3 shackles was definitely not achievable with just 15 heavenly source fruits. Hence, Lei Yi had left them behind. Of course, this was only Lu Ming's guess. There might be other reasons, but no matter what the reason was, they were now all Lu Ming's. Refined. Lu Ming adjusted his breathing for a while, adjusting his condition to peak condition, then took out a Genesis grass and swallowed it to refine. After refining all 5 tufts of source life grass, as expected, Lu Ming's last type of divine power had also awakened 5 times. In this way, Lu Ming's 11 divine powers had all awakened 5 times, which was very balanced. After refining the Genesis grass, Lu Ming took out the heavenly source fruit to refine. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. In these 2 months, Lu Ming had finished refining all the Genesis grass and heavenly source fruit. Finally, he had also successfully severed his 3rd shackle with his secret origin technique, the Gate of Domination. In this way, Lu Ming had the Tyrant God Spear, the Heavenly Evil Bell, the Wind Destroyer Boots, and the Gate of Domination to sever his 2nd shackle. Looks like I'll have to make a trip to the Undersea Dragon Palace. Lu Ming took out the illusory sacred jade and looked at it, then fell into deep thought. During this period, Lu Ming would take out the illusory sacred jade every now and then to observe the movements of others to see if anyone was looking for him to kill him. In the beginning, there were indeed prodigies who had entered more than 30 years ago who were looking for Lu Ming. Unfortunately, they couldn't find any trace of Lu Ming. Later, something big happened on the Dragon Clan's mother planet, which attracted everyone's attention. That was the Dragon Palace. Someone had found traces of the Dragon Palace at the bottom of the sea. What was the Dragon Palace? Legend had it that during the Dragon Clan's heyday, the Dragon Palace was the most powerful being. It was the true holy land of the Dragon Clan. Once this news came out, it caused an uproar. Compared to the Dragon Palace, the other relics and sacred grounds were far inferior and incomparable. Thinking of the great opportunities in other relics, what about the Dragon Palace? However, in front of the Dragon Palace, there were many powerful sea beasts guarding it. During this period of time, the sky prides of various races had gathered. It was said that even the sky prides who had entered more than 30 years ago had appeared. The sky prides of various races had joined forces to eliminate the sea beasts and enter the Dragon Palace. Recently, he had killed many sea beasts, and only a few types of sea beasts were left. At this time, Lu Ming decided to set off. He wouldn't miss a place like the Dragon Palace. He needed too many resources to cultivate now. He couldn't miss any opportunity. Lu Ming took action immediately and headed toward the sea. The dreamy heavenly jade was very lively. Countless people were talking about it. They had already explained the location of the Dragon Palace. After leaping across the boundless land and trekking, Lu Ming finally arrived at the sea. He didn't know how vast the boundless sea was. The waves roared. He could vaguely see huge sea beasts rolling their bodies. The ocean of the Dragon Clan's mother planet was different from the oceans of ordinary planets. The oceans of ordinary planets were no longer a deterrent to Lu Ming, but the ocean of the Dragon Clan's mother planet was different. It still gave Lu Ming an unfathomable feeling and a strong pressure. It was just like when he faced the ocean in the primordial realm. Taking a deep breath, Lu Ming rushed out and headed for his destination. A few days later, Lu Ming stopped. "It should be around here," Lu Ming said in a low voice. He then plunged into the sea. The sea was extremely deep, especially in the deep sea. Any random place was tens of thousands of miles deep. Lu Ming kept going down. The bottom of the sea was pitch black. There was no light at all. But for Lu Ming, it wasn't a problem. Divine power gathered in his eyes. The pitch-black bottom of the sea was still as bright as day. In the sea, there were huge sea beasts swimming by from time to time. But due to Lu Ming's pressure, they didn't dare to approach. Soon, Lu Ming had dived more than 20,000 miles. "There's someone." Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes moved. Not far away, there were a few figures heading in a direction. They didn't notice Lu Ming. Could it be in that direction? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. Although he knew the general direction, he didn't know the specific address. Originally, he needed to look for it. Now that he saw others, Lu Ming naturally followed them. Lu Ming restrained his aura and followed them from afar. The underwater world was strange and dazzling, but Lu Ming wasn't in the mood to enjoy it. After traveling for about hundreds of thousands of miles, the number of people gradually increased. They were all geniuses of various races. Group by group, they were scattered in the sea ahead. Lu Ming didn't get close. He chose a hidden rock and hid behind it. Then, he took out the illusory space and looked at it. There was the information he needed in it. Sure enough, in the illusory space, the geniuses of various races were discussing. It turned out that they were not far from the Dragon Palace. But there were still sea beasts blocking the way. But there were only a few types of sea beasts left. Some powerful races were planning to join forces with other races to eliminate those sea beasts. They agreed to take action in 2 hours. Lu Ming watched for a while and waited quietly. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. At this time, the geniuses of various races began to move. They gathered together and moved forward. Lu Ming followed from afar. Not far ahead was an oceanic trench. It was very wide and incomparably huge. The geniuses of various races entered the oceanic trench and kept moving forward. Not long after, huge creatures appeared in front of them. Squeak! Those huge creatures were fiery red all over. They let out strange cries and charged at the geniuses of various races. Lobsters. Those huge creatures were actually lobsters. Each of them was 100 miles long. 100-mile lobster. Kill. The geniuses of various races also roared. Divine power burst forth. In the pitch-black deep sea, they were like huge light bulbs. They rushed forward and fought with those 100-mile lobsters. Those lobsters had astonishing combat strength. They were all at the Divine Lord realm. Some of them were even stronger and could fight with 5th or 6th level Divine Lords. Their feelers were like extremely sharp sabers. They swept past and split the seawater. Some geniuses would be cut in half if they were careless. Their pincers were even more astonishing and extremely sharp. They could even crush divine weapons. Chapter 36:47. Not only did these lobsters have amazing attack power, but their defense was even more amazing. Their bodies were covered with hard shells, and the attacks of some weaker cultivators could only leave shallow marks on their bodies. However, the number of prodigies from the various clans was more than 10 times that of the lobsters. Moreover, many of the large clans had set up battle formations with amazing power. As a result, Each of the giant lobsters had their defenses broken through and were killed on the spot. In particular, some of the prodigies caught Lu Ming's attention. These prodigies were shockingly powerful. They often killed their way into the lobsters and killed them one by one. None of these people are weaker than Lei Yi. Some of them are even stronger. They should have entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago. Lu Ming thought. The battle continued. The prodigies of the various clans obviously had the upper hand and killed the lobsters one by one. The battle lasted for about an hour, and all the lobsters were killed. Then, the prodigies of the various clans continued to move forward. However, not long after, a large group of sea beasts blocked their way. It was a group of huge crabs, and they were even larger than the lobsters from before. Their power was also more terrifying. This is the last group of sea beasts. Once we kill these sea beasts, we can reach the Dragon Palace. Charge! Someone shouted. Indeed, from here, they could vaguely see a corner of the palace in front of them. It was faintly discernible in the sea. Many people's eyes lit up with a burning light. That was the Dragon Palace. Its status was the same as the sacred grounds of the Angels, Soul Clan, and other top clans. How many treasures would there be inside? If the Dragon Clan was at its peak, they would not be able to enter at all. If they could obtain some opportunities inside, they would definitely soar to the sky. The prodigies of the various clans were burning with fighting spirit. They rushed forward crazily and fought with the crabs. This battle could be said to be tragic. The strength of these crabs was astonishing, and they were extremely fast. They came and went in the deep sea like the wind. The prodigies of the various clans began to suffer a large number of casualties. Although the crabs were constantly being killed, the prodigies of the various clans were also killed and devoured by the crabs. The smell of blood in the deep sea attracted many huge sea beasts and fish. However, these sea beasts and fish were somewhat weak. When they felt the pressure of the empty space, they did not dare to approach at all and fled. This battle lasted for a few hours. Finally, the prodigies of the various clans completely gained the upper hand. The crabs were hunted down one by one. Soon, there weren't many crabs left. After all, the geniuses of the various clans had the advantage in numbers and could set up battle formations. Time to go out, Lu Ming muttered. Seeing that all the crabs were about to be hunted down, the Dragon Palace was just ahead. This was the best time to make a move. If they were late, they might miss the opportunity. Whoosh! Lu Ming rushed out and rushed into the crowd. Many people's gazes swept over him and were instantly shocked. It's Lu Ming! It's Lu Ming! Immediately, many people cried out in surprise as they recognized Lu Ming. Many pairs of eyes looked at Lu Ming. There was fear, passion, and killing intent. There were all sorts of emotions. Lu Ming was speechless. He knew that once he appeared, he would be recognized and attract attention. That was why he rushed out at this time. Because it was very difficult to hide one's identity in the Divine Lord realm. If he wanted to change his appearance, it would be too easy. With just a thought, his body would change. However, when a Divine Lord realm recognized a person, it was not based on their appearance because anyone could change their appearance at will. A Divine Lord realm recognized people based on their life source, and it was very difficult to change a person's life source. Therefore, even if Lu Ming disguised himself, he would be easily recognized. Therefore, he did not disguise himself and hid at the back, only appearing now. Whoosh! At this moment, a huge crab rushed over. One of its long legs cut through the sea and slashed at the crowd like a huge machete. A weaker prodigy was paying attention to Lu Ming and was careless. He was slashed by the crab leg and was directly cut in two. The crab leg whistled and slashed at Lu Ming. Buzz! The Overlord God's spear appeared in Lu Ming's hand, and he brandished it. Striking the crab leg, a powerful force erupted. The crab leg directly exploded, snow-white crab meat flying everywhere. Following that, Lu Ming rushed out. His speed was very fast. With a flash, he rushed to the top of the giant crab. Holding the spear with both hands, he directly stabbed down on the giant crab's head. The giant crab let out a strange cry. Its massive body rolled and struggled violently. Slowly, it stopped breathing. Easily killing a giant crab, Lu Ming stepped forward and faced the second giant crab. Although the combat strength of these giant crabs was very strong, compared to Lu Ming, there was still some gap. Very soon, the second giant crab was also killed by Lu Ming. At this time, the number of giant crabs became fewer and fewer. There were only a few dozen left. The battle situation was already decided. Before long, all of the giant crabs would be killed off. Bang! Right at this time, Lu Ming felt an intense rumble coming from the side. A terrifying air wave surged towards Lu Ming. The seawater was pressed together and blasted towards Lu Ming. Sneak attack. Lu Ming's gaze turned cold. Without hesitation, he stabbed the Overlord God's spear to the side. Bang! The Overlord God's spear pierced through the compressed seawater and pierced a golden fist. A terrifying power exploded. The force swept out in all directions. The seawater in a radius of dozens of kilometers was blasted away, forming a vacuum. One had to know that this was the bottom of the sea at a depth of tens of thousands of kilometers. Moreover, the seawater on the Dragon Clan's mother planet was very shocking. It contained a terrifying amount of energy that was not something ordinary seawater could compare to. Therefore, at a depth of tens of thousands of kilometers, the pressure of the seawater was not to be underestimated. Even so, the collision of the two still caused the seawater in a radius of tens of kilometers to explode. From this, one could see it. Lu Ming felt a mountain-like force surging towards him. His body trembled, and he retreated rapidly. What a powerful force! It's even stronger than Lei. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. Just now, in a hurry, he did not use his full strength. That was why he was pushed back by the other party's punch. However, from that punch, Lu Ming could still feel that the person who attacked him was very powerful. That was because the other party only used an ordinary punch. Lu Ming looked ahead. He saw an extremely burly young man about 3 meters tall. His entire body was golden and his muscles were like diamonds. Is this the Vajra clan? A thought flashed through Lu Ming's mind. He had encountered the Vajra clan before. It was in the Qin Tian galaxy of the Taishu dynasty. However, the Vajra clan there was only a branch. Moreover, their bloodline was not pure. They were very different from the real Vajra clan. The real Vajra clan had amazing strength and could be ranked in the top 200 of the primitive 10,000 races. The Vajra clan in front of him was obviously a pure Vajra clan member. His body was like diamond. Chapter 36:48. It's Jin Yin from the Vajra race. I heard that he entered the dragon race's mother planet more than 30 years ago. He's a top-notch monster and is even stronger than Lei Yi. Seems like he has his eyes on Lu Ming. That's normal. Who wouldn't be tempted by the winged men race's offer? I guess the others who entered more than 30 years ago are tempted as well. Discussions broke out all around. So, you're Lu Ming. Legend has it that you're so powerful, but that's all there is to it. Jin Yin sneered and looked at Lu Ming with a ferocious gaze. You and I have no grudges. If you want to be my opponent, you should be prepared to be killed. Lu Ming said indifferently. Ha ha ha. You think you can kill me just because you can kill Lei? Let me tell you, I can kill Lei too. Jin Yin laughed and looked at Lu Ming with a burning gaze, as if he was looking at a peerless treasure. Boom. He took a step forward, and the muscles all over his body were trembling like King Kong. The surrounding seawater was directly expelled. As Jin Yin stepped forward, his aura became stronger and stronger. Soon, it reached its peak. At the same time, a thin battle suit appeared on his body and covered his entire body. That was his origin source secret technique. Although he looked down on Lu Ming, he didn't dare to underestimate him at all. He attacked with all his might. Boom. As he threw out a punch, the seawater in front of his fist exploded and compressed. It turned into a terrifying attack and blasted toward Lu Ming. Fight! Lu Ming roared without fear. At this moment, he also used all his strength. The battle art was activated and his combat strength increased by 5 times. 18 drops of primordial divine blood were activated. The energy of the Overlord God's spear to sever the second shackle was activated. Buzz. The Overlord God's spear vibrated slightly. The seawater around him exploded and formed a vacuum. Then, it swept forward. Boom. The Overlord God's spear collided with Jin Yan's fist for the second time. This time, the explosion was 10 times stronger than the previous one. The seawater was evaporated, and a terrifying force surged out, forming huge waves at the bottom of the sea. The sky prides of the other races didn't dare to stay, and all retreated far away. After the first exchange, they didn't retreat and attacked again. Boom, boom, boom. Both of them were astonishingly fast. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than a dozen moves. A huge explosion occurred in the area, causing chaos. Ring, ring, ring. After exchanging dozens of blows, Lu Ming used the heavenly evildoer bell. Then, the gate of domination flew out and suppressed the golden yin. Soul attacks are useless against me. Break for me. Jin Yin let out a long howl as his divine power burst forth. His body, which was as hard as diamond, actually emitted a brilliant light. There was no doubt that Jin Yin had also cultivated a secret physique technique, and his mastery of it had reached an astonishing level. Coupled with his talent, his strength was so strong that even Lu Ming had no choice but to take him seriously. To be honest, Jin Yan's battle prowess was indeed stronger than Lei Yi's. Lei Yi was actually just an ordinary prodigy. He was just lucky to have entered the Dragon Clan's home planet a few decades earlier. With the help of a large amount of resources, he had cultivated his cultivation, divine power of origin, and secret arts of origin to a high level. However, everything else was very ordinary. For example, the use of divine power, secret arts of physique, and other auxiliary secret arts were all very ordinary. But Jin Yin was different. He was originally a top monster. Not only was his cultivation, divine power of origin, secret arts of origin powerful, secret arts of physique, and auxiliary secret arts were also incomparably profound. Although his cultivation was also at the 6th level of the Divine Lord realm, his battle prowess was definitely above Lei Yi's. If it was before the battle with Lei Yi, Lu Ming would probably not be Jin Yan's match. In a head-on battle, he would be at a disadvantage. But now, his 11 types of divine power had all transformed 5 times. Coupled with the gate of domination that had severed his second shackle, it might not be the case. Boom, boom. Both sides' attacks continued to collide and explode. But in the end, the two were still evenly matched. In the blink of an eye, they had exchanged dozens of blows. At this time, the remaining dozens of giant crabs had all been hunted down. The prodigies of various races looked at the battle between Lu Ming and Jin Yin. Some terrifying existences opened and closed their eyes, as if considering whether to take down Lu Ming. But at this time, someone suddenly rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. That's right, the Dragon Palace. Let's go. Don't let others beat us to it. Let's go. Immediately, the prodigies of various races rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Compared to the offer of the Winged Men tribe, the Dragon Palace was obviously more attractive. Some people originally wanted to attack Lu Ming, but when they saw the others rushing in the direction of the Dragon Palace, they could only give up and rush in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Boom. Lu Ming and Jin Yin exchanged a blow, and both of them retreated. Kid, you have some strength. Now that I'm busy, I'll kill you another day, Jin Yin said and rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Lu Ming's eyes flashed, but he did not continue to attack. It would be difficult to defeat Jin Yin. The only way was to exhaust his opponent's divine power, just like the previous battle with Lei Yi. Moreover, Jin Yan's defense was obviously stronger than Lei Yi's. It would be more difficult to kill him. Therefore, Lu Ming did not continue to attack and also rushed in the direction of the Dragon Palace. Everyone used all their strength and rushed in, wanting to rush into the Dragon Palace before the others and obtain the opportunity. Roar. At this moment, there was a loud roar and a huge creature suddenly appeared in front of them. It was a sea snake, but it was too huge. Its huge body wriggled up and down, making it impossible to see how long it was. It opened its mouth, and a terrifying devouring force burst forth. The geniuses who were flying at the front screamed in fear. They wanted to retreat, but they realized that they couldn't. Their bodies were being sucked into the sea snake's mouth. Not good. Attack, kill this sea snake. These people roared and all kinds of attacks erupted. Swordlight, saberlight, and other attacks all slashed at the black snake. But after their attacks flew out, they were affected by the devouring force and became powerless. They landed on the sea snake's mouth and were unable to break through its defenses. These geniuses let out desperate roars and frantically struggled, but it was useless. One by one, they were swallowed into the sea snake's mouth. Damn it! Damn it! One of them was an extremely powerful youth. He crazily roared and struggled. He was like a resplendent sun. He actually managed to break free of the sea snake's devouring force and was about to charge out. This genius was definitely someone who had entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. His combat power was not any weaker than Jean Yan's. Furthermore, he specialized in speed. He had flown to the front just now. The young man was about to break free, but in the next moment, a red light flashed and burst out from the sea snake's mouth. Everyone could clearly see that it was the sea snake's tongue. The sea snake's tongue flashed and swept toward that youth. That youth roared and used all his strength. His hands slashed out a resplendent divine light that was incomparably sharp. Unfortunately, it was unable to cut through the sea snake's tongue. Chapter 36:49. The sea snake's tongue swept out like a soft whip. It was as fast as lightning. Although the young man was strong, he couldn't escape at all and was directly entangled by the tongue. The sound of bones breaking could be heard. The young man vomited a large mouthful of blood, revealing a look of despair. "Save me, quickly save me!" The young man screamed miserably. However, it was impossible for anyone to save him because the other geniuses had already retreated frantically. No one dared to stay, let alone save him. Lu Ming retreated even faster. With the wind extinguishing boots on his feet, he had already run far away. What a joke! That sea snake was too terrifying. Lu Ming had sensed this aura many times before. There was no doubt that it was the aura of a quasi-emperor. That sea serpent was a quasi-emperor level existence. Although the prodigies here were powerful and there were likely 7th-level Divine Lord freaks among them, don't forget that this was the deep sea, the territory of the sea serpent. Even if it was that kind of freak, facing a quasi-emperor level sea serpent, there was only death. Sea snake hissed and rolled its tongue. In the end, the young man was sucked into it and disappeared. Then, it widened its huge eyes and chased after the crowd. Run! Everyone ran for their lives, using as much strength as they could. Of course, those with higher cultivation were faster and ran at the front, while those with lower cultivation fell behind. No, help, help. Don't run. With so many of us joining forces, we might be able to fight it. Those who ran at the back cried out miserably. However, who cared about them? Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to deal with that sea snake. Even if they could kill it, who knew how many of them would die? Who would be willing to die? Therefore, no one cared at all. Swoosh! At that moment, the sea snake's scarlet tongue stretched out again and swept out like lightning. A few geniuses were directly entangled and let out desperate cries. But it was useless. The sea snake's tongue rolled and swallowed them into its mouth. Those who ran at the back were so scared that their hair stood on end. They almost wet their pants and cried for their parents. Get to the back. Suddenly, someone made a move. He attacked the person beside him, kicking him to the back with a kick. Ah, you're despicable. That person roared angrily. However, this also reminded the others. These people couldn't outrun the people in front of them, nor could they outrun the clown sea serpent. However, as long as they could outrun the others, their chances of survival would be very high. Thus, the people behind them all began to attack. They attacked the people beside them, or the people in front of them. You dare! Bastard! You're courting death! Furious roars and the sounds of fighting rang out. The area behind them was in complete chaos. Some of the people who were blasted to the back were swallowed by the sea serpent. Damn it! Damn it! Run! The people behind him were scared out of their wits as they tried their best to increase their speed. In this way, they quickly flew out of the trench. Fortunately, as soon as they flew out of the trench, the sea snake no longer chased after them. It coldly glanced at them and then slowly retreated back into the trench, disappearing without a trace. Hoo-hoo, the group of geniuses at the back exhaled deeply. They realized that their bodies were covered in cold sweat. They had been scared to death just now. In the process of escaping, at least 100 geniuses were swallowed by the sea serpent. Seeing that the sea serpent had retreated, everyone ran for a while more before stopping. Lu Ming didn't stop. He kept running in front. When he saw that no one was around, he found a secret place to hide. What should we do now? That sea serpent is too strong. It's a quasi-emperor realm cultivator, and it's in the deep sea. It's not something we can deal with. Are we going to give up on the Dragon Palace just like that? Everyone was discussing. They were unwilling to give up on the Dragon Palace just like that. They didn't expect that after passing through layers of sea beasts, there would be a powerful sea serpent blocking their way. Why don't we send a message to the illusory space and ask the seniors of the various races if they have any ideas? Someone suggested, and it was approved by the others. Then, they sent what happened just now to the illusory space. As expected, they soon received a reply. Some people said that this sea serpent was called a dragon-devouring snake. It loved to eat divine dragons. In the heyday of the divine dragon race, this sea serpent was almost exterminated. It was hunted by the divine dragon race. They didn't expect that the guardian of the Dragon Palace was a dragon-devouring snake. At the same time, some seniors gave a suggestion. With the current strength of the dragon clan on the mother planet, it would be very difficult to defeat a quasi-emperor dragon-devouring snake. The only way was to use poison. Let the myriad poison tribe refine poison, then capture some dragonborn or real divine dragons and put the poison on them. The dragon-devouring snake loved to eat dragons. The dragonborn had the bloodline of the dragon race, so the dragon-devouring snake would definitely devour them. That way, the dragon-devouring snake would be able to poison the dragon-devouring snake to death. This was a suggestion from the older generation, which made many people's eyes light up. Does the myriad poison tribe have anything that can kill a dragon-devouring snake? Someone looked at some of the races wearing colorful robes. The myriad poison tribe was also a large tribe on the Eldritch 10,000 tribe roll. They were good at using poison. Their poison was so terrifying that it struck fear in people. The dragon-devouring snake is very strange. It's fine even after devouring so many prodigies. It won't be easy to kill it with poison. We don't have such a poison on us. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said, "What? You don't have such a poison?" Everyone else looked disappointed. Although we don't have such a poison, we can refine it. There are more than 300 people in the myriad poison tribe. If we work together, we can definitely refine it. But it will take some time. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said, "How much time?" Many people's eyes lit up again. 1 month will be enough. A prodigy from the myriad poison tribe said, "All right, then we'll split up. You refine the poison while we capture the dragonborn. It would be best if we could capture 2 real divine dragons." "All right, let's go." Then, the prodigies from the various tribes split up. Some of them helped the myriad poison tribe look for ingredients to refine the poison, while others went to capture the dragonborn or divine dragons. Lu Ming used the illusory sacred jade to observe everyone's plan. They're going to capture the dragonborn and divine dragons. Lu Ming shook his head. However, he did not do anything. Although he had a good impression of the dragonborn and divine dragons, his ability was limited. He could not save them all. Time flew by. About half a month later, many of the prodigies who had gone to capture the dragonborn and divine dragons returned. "Ha, we caught an 8-clawed divine dragon." A young man laughed. He was Jin Yin from the Vajra tribe. Chapter 3650. At this moment, Jin Yin was tens of thousands of meters tall and was walking on the seabed. His body was golden, and he was holding a divine dragon in one hand. An 8-clawed divine dragon. The body of this 8-clawed divine dragon writhed continuously as it struggled and roared. However, it couldn't break free at all. The difference in cultivation between him and Jin Yin was too great. An 8-clawed divine dragon. Ha, that's great. The dragon-devouring snake will definitely swallow him if it sees him. The success rate will be greatly increased. Many people laughed. The eight-clawed divine dragon's bloodline was richer and naturally attracted the attention of the dragon-devouring snake. They believed that the dragon-devouring snake would not miss out on an eight-clawed divine dragon. In the next half a month, people continued to return. However, no one caught a divine dragon. The divine dragons that appeared on the dragon tribe's mother planet were all the dragon tribe prodigies that had been sealed by the dragon tribe's elites. They were at least eight-clawed divine dragons, and there were not many of them. It was not that easy to find them if they were hidden. However, they managed to capture quite a number of dragon humans. When a month was up, the 1,000 poison tribe members also returned. "How is it? How's the refining of the poison?" someone hurriedly asked. "Don't worry, it's done. Just in case, we refined 36 pills in one go. Later, put more dragon humans in. Put one on each of them, just in case," 1,000 poison tribe prodigies said. Then, everyone began to prepare to place the poison on the dragon humans and the eight-clawed divine dragon. These dragon humans and eight-clawed divine dragons were all controlled and could not move or resist. After the poison was placed, they began to arrange for the people to use the poison. Those with weaker cultivation naturally did not dare to go. In the end, a group of people with higher cultivation and speed was chosen to enter. These people were well prepared and had various treasures on them that could increase their speed. For example, there were talismans that could increase one's speed and artifacts that could increase one's speed. After everything was ready, these people carried the dragon humans and eight-clawed divine dragon and rushed into the trench again. The others waited quietly. Success or failure depended on this. Not long after, those people who had entered earlier rushed out in a hurry. "How is it?" someone hurriedly asked. "I've set up a set of formation flags inside. It can be seen." After saying that, a young man took out a jade talisman. The jade talisman shone, and a picture appeared. Eight-clawed divine dragons and the dragon human race were thrown on the ground in the deep, dark trench. They were probably at the location where they had hunted those giant crabs, or perhaps even further in. Everyone's eyes were focused on the painting. Would it attract the dragon-devouring snake? They didn't notice that Lu Ming had silently appeared not far away and witnessed everything. Time flew by in this tense atmosphere. Suddenly, a huge creature appeared in the darkness. "It has appeared." Many people's hearts jumped. The gigantic creature was none other than the devouring dragon snake. The dragon-devouring snake's eyes were filled with greed as it stared at the eight-clawed divine dragon and the dragon humans. Then, it swam towards them. After that, a scarlet-red snake tongue swept out, coiled around the eight-clawed divine dragon, and swallowed it into its mouth. However, the dragon-devouring snake was still not satisfied. It opened its mouth wide and a powerful suction force burst forth, swallowing the remaining dragon men one by one. "All right." Everyone cheered loudly and continued to wait anxiously. Would those poisons be able to kill the dragon-devouring snake? Soon, the answer was given. The dragon-devouring snake had swallowed the eight-clawed divine dragon and the dragon humans. In less than a minute, the dragon-devouring snake let out a hiss and started to writhe and roll on the ground. It stirred up muddy water and caused the seawater to tremble. Even though they were far away, they could feel it clearly. Many people turned pale. Fortunately, they were so far away. The dragon-devouring snake was much stronger than they had imagined. The dragon-devouring snake continued to roll on the ground for half an hour before its movements gradually slowed down. In the end, it lay limp on the ground, motionless. "Is it dead?" someone asked in a low voice, looking puzzled. "It must be dead. The dragon-devouring snake has a huge appetite. It has swallowed all the poisons. No matter how strong it is, it will die." A young man from the 1,000 poison tribe sneered confidently. "Let's go in." Seeing that the dragon-devouring snake had been poisoned, someone couldn't help but fly into the trench. The others did the same. They all flew into the trench, afraid that they would be slower than the others. Lu Ming followed behind from a distance. Soon, the group entered the trench and saw the dragon-devouring snake. The dragon-devouring snake was huge. No one knew how long it was. It lay limp on the ground, seemingly lifeless. The ground was full of bumps and hollows, with long pits appearing one after another. What a terrifying power, someone muttered. Everything on the dragon tribe's mother planet was very sturdy. It was not something that other planets could compare to. It was a planet that had been nurtured since the beginning of time. The trench was under strong water pressure all year round. The rocks had become even harder, like divine metal. When the group fought with the sea beasts, the impact of their attacks could only leave slight marks on the rocks. On the other hand, the dragon-devouring snake had turned the trench into a mess. It was obvious that the dragon-devouring snake was powerful. Hee, no matter how strong it is, it will die under the poison of the Thousand Poison Tribe. The sky prides of the Thousand Poison Tribe were very arrogant. They came to the side of the dragon-devouring snake and sneered. The others also flew past the dragon-devouring snake's head. At that moment, the dragon-devouring snake, which had been lying limp on the ground, suddenly opened its eyes. Then, its huge body twisted, and its huge head, which was like a small mountain, slammed into a group of young men. Bam! A huge explosion rang out as those young men were directly blasted apart, dying on the spot. In an instant, at least a dozen sky prides of various races died. The Thousand Poison Tribe had it the worst. They were the closest to the group. At least half of those who were killed were from the Thousand Poison Tribe. It happened so suddenly that the others were scared out of their wits. Not good. The dragon-devouring snake is not dead. It was pretending to be dead. Run! The sky prides of various races shouted. Hiss! The dragon-devouring snake let out a hiss. Its huge body twisted, and at the same time, it swung its tail and whipped some of the sky prides. Explosions sounded continuously. More and more sky prides died. Block it! Kill it! Someone shouted. Dazzling divine light exploded and blasted toward the dragon-devouring snake. A huge explosion occurred in the area, and the seawater surged. In the end, it was blocked. Many people's eyes lit up. Everyone, don't panic. This dragon-devouring snake is deeply poisoned. It doesn't have much strength left. If we work together, we will definitely be able to kill it. Someone shouted. It was a creature with 2 wolf heads. Chapter 36:51. The Two-Headed Wolf Tribe was one of the strongest tribes in the primitive 10,000 tribes board. This person had entered the Dragon Tribe's mother star 30 years ago. He was extremely powerful and his cultivation was terrifying. He had reached the 7th level Divine Lord realm. His 2 heads roared and divine light shot out from his mouth, blocking the dragon-devouring snake's attack. Many people's eyes lit up when they saw this. That's right. The dragon-devouring snake was indeed much weaker than before. If it was before, the Two-Headed Wolf Tribe's Sky Pride would not have been able to block it. But now, it could block it. Let's work together and kill it. Jin Yin from the Vajra tribe also stopped. Divine Vajra Fist. Jin Yin roared and his body enlarged. Divine light shone brightly as he punched out with his fists. The seawater exploded as the terrifying fist energy blasted towards the dragon-devouring snake. Flying snow sword art. Ice blade light. Instantly, all sorts of terrifying attacks were launched towards the dragon-devouring snake. All the sky prides had joined forces. All sorts of attacks formed a torrent of attacks that were extremely powerful. Finally, the dragon-devouring snake could not hold on any longer and was sent flying. The scales on its body were cracked open and wounds appeared on its body. Attack its head and vital points. The Two-Headed Wolf Tribe's Sky Pride roared. He turned into a giant wolf with 2 heads and was extremely fast. He leaped in the air and charged towards the dragon-devouring snake's head. 2 rays of divine light shot out from his mouth and blasted one of the dragon-devouring snake's eyes. The dragon-devouring snake hissed and spat out its tongue. It wanted to attack the Two-Headed Wolf Tribe's Sky Pride, but he dodged it easily. The dragon-devouring snake's strength had indeed decreased greatly. Its attack speed had slowed down, and it could no longer keep up with the Two-Headed Wolf Tribe's speed. The dragon-devouring snake hissed in indignation, but the outcome was already decided. The Thousand Poison Tribe's poison was indeed very powerful. It had severely injured the dragon-devouring snake, and the effects of the poison were still in effect. The outcome was already decided. Under the attacks of so many sky prides, the dragon-devouring snake's body was covered in wounds. A few minutes later, the dragon-devouring snake slumped to the ground. It was truly dead this time. Damned beast! The members of the myriad poison tribe were infuriated. They waved their hands repeatedly, sending poisonous gas into the dragon-devouring snake's mouth and nose. Just now, the devouring dragon snake had been so ferocious that it had killed at least dozens of myriad poison race's geniuses. This made them extremely furious. However, the others couldn't be bothered to care. The way they saw it, the more people from the 10,000 poison clan died, the less competition they would have. At this moment, some people were already rushing towards Dragon Palace. Go! The others also reacted and flew in one after another. Of course, this time, everyone was a lot more careful. They set up layers of defenses in front of them. Who knew if there was any danger inside? If another dragon-devouring snake were to appear, wouldn't he be vomiting blood? However, they worried too much. There was no danger at all. Soon, they arrived at the depths of the trench. However, when they arrived here, they all stopped. Is this the Dragon Palace? Some people were puzzled. Previously, they could see a corner of the palace from afar. When they walked in, they could only see a corner of the palace. Yes, it was really a corner of the palace. The rest of the palace was buried in the rocks, and only a corner was exposed. Could the Dragon Palace be buried underground? It seems very likely. Looks like we have to dig it ourselves. The rocks here are extremely hard. I wonder how long it'll take to dig it out. Everyone discussed animatedly. Obviously, this scene was beyond everyone's expectations. The entrance of the Dragon Palace was not easy to enter. Let's do it, someone said. He did not want to wait any longer and wanted to start digging. Wait a minute. Suddenly, someone called out. What's wrong? Someone asked. I feel that something's wrong. Do you feel that the ground is shaking? A young man with particularly large ears said. He was a prodigy of the Big Ears clan. The ground is shaking? Many people were puzzled, but more of them were solemn. They knew that the people of the Big Ears clan were gifted with amazing hearing. They could hear very subtle movements that ordinary people could not. Retreat. Some people were a little afraid and retreated. The others followed suit and retreated a distance away. Rumble. At that moment, a muffled sound was heard. This time, everyone heard it. Retreat. Everyone retreated again because they felt that the rumbling sound came from under their feet. The next moment, the rumbling sound became louder and louder. Then, cracks appeared on the ground. More and more cracks appeared and soon covered the ground. Rumble. Bang. 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 Loud noises were heard continuously. The ground exploded, and rocks flew everywhere. Then, an incomparably huge palace rose from the ground. The Dragon Palace is rising. The Dragon Palace is about to appear. Many people exclaimed and were pleasantly surprised. They did not expect that the Dragon Palace would appear without them having to dig it out themselves. This couldn't be any better. However, everyone's voices came to an abrupt halt. Everyone, including Lu Ming, could not help but widen their eyes and stare in front of them. To be precise, they were staring at the bottom of the palace. Below the huge palace, an incomparably huge living being appeared. It was a tortoise. It was a huge tortoise. No one knew how big it was. On the back of the tortoise was the Dragon Palace. The legendary Dragon Palace was sitting on the back of a tortoise. Most importantly, the tortoise was still alive. It opened its eyes and looked at Lu Ming and the others. Everyone's muscles could not help but tense up. It was as if their hearts were about to stop beating. The legendary Dragon Palace was actually built on the back of a gigantic tortoise. Then, how powerful was this tortoise? At this moment, the sky prides of the various races looked terrible. Needless to say, the tortoise was definitely unimaginably powerful. It could probably wipe out everyone present with a puff of air. Everyone tensed up and did not dare to move. They did not even dare to breathe loudly. As for running away, it was impossible. Running away in front of such an existence was undoubtedly courting death. It was impossible to escape. However, The giant tortoise did not seem to be interested in them. After it appeared, it continued to lie on the ground with its eyes closed. It did not move at all, as if it had turned into a huge rock. Everyone looked at each other. However, they finally heaved a sigh of relief. What's going on? Does the tortoise not care about us? Maybe it purposely came out to let the dragon palace appear so that we can enter it. Is there such a thing? Everyone was puzzled, but no one dared to step forward for a while. What a joke. It was too dangerous to go up now. Everyone looked at the dragon palace in front of them, and the situation suddenly came to a standstill. Everyone was waiting for someone else to go up and test it, but who would be so stupid? Chapter 36:52. The stalemate lasted for a couple of hours. Still, no one made a move. How about this? I will control my bugs and try it out. Finally, someone couldn't wait any longer. It was a member of the Thousand Poison race. People of the Thousand Poison race would usually keep some poisonous bugs with them, so that they could use them to fight against their enemies. Okay, let's give it a try. The other's eyes glowed. Then, a young man from the Thousand Poison race waved his hand. Over a dozen poisonous bugs, including centipedes, scorpions, and spiders, flew toward the dragon palace. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The others stepped back in unison. The chosen one of the Thousand Poison race, while everyone was waiting anxiously, the dozen poisonous bugs entered the dragon palace. It was fine. The turtle didn't move at all, as if it had really turned into a stone. He could see that the door of the dragon palace was open. More than 10 venomous worms crawled into the dragon palace and disappeared. Still, the turtle didn't do anything. It's true. We can go in. Some people's eyes were glowing, but they still didn't have the courage to step forward. Let's put 2 more pets and see. Someone reminded them. After all, poisonous bugs were just bugs. They could go in, but they were still worried. In the end, some people let out their pets. Some people would take their pets with them so that they could fight alongside them at critical moments. Several large pets were full of vigor. They dashed into the dragon palace and nothing happened. It's really fine. Let's go. Fortune comes from danger. How can we cultivate if we are afraid of this and that? Finally, some of the braver ones couldn't stand it anymore. They restrained their energy and dashed toward the gate. Soon, they made it in and nothing happened. It's really fine. Let's go. At this moment, no one could sit still. They all dashed toward the gate. Lu Ming followed the crowd and dashed toward the main gate of the dragon palace. The dragon palace was huge. No one could tell how many square miles it occupied. Even the gate was huge. They were no different from a speck of dust when they went in. Nothing happened. They successfully made it through the gate. Behind the gate were many corridors that led to different directions. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The chosen ones of the various races dashed toward different corridors. It wasn't that no one had noticed Lu Ming, but compared to Lu Ming, they were more interested in the treasures in the dragon palace. The sky prides of the various races quickly disappeared into the huge dragon palace. Lu Ming also chose a corridor and ran down it. The houses in the dragon palace were incomparably huge. This was probably due to the size of the dragon race. One set of palaces and halls, one set of palaces connected to another. Lu Ming rushed past several palaces in a row, but he was disappointed as he didn't obtain anything. Where was the treasure? There were no treasures in the huge dragon palace. What's going on? There's nothing? This is the dragon palace? You're lying, right? F***ck. Many people were cursing, but the result was probably the same as Lu Ming's. They didn't get anything. It was not that someone had beaten them to it. There were a few palaces that absolutely no one had entered. After Lu Ming entered, he did not discover anything. Everyone was unwilling to accept this. He had worked so hard to come to the dragon palace. Was he going to return empty-handed? The crowd continued to move deeper into the dragon palace. Perhaps there was a treasure house in the dragon palace, and all the treasures were kept in the treasure house? The crowd continued to search, but after a few hours, they were disappointed. There was nothing. After searching everywhere, they found nothing. This was an empty dragon palace. There's a discovery behind the dragon palace. Let's go and take a look. Many people rushed to the back of the dragon palace. because someone had just sent a message in the illusory space, saying that there was a major discovery behind the Dragon Palace. Lu Ming naturally saw it, and also went to the back of the Dragon Palace. After winding around countless palaces, his field of vision suddenly widened. An open space appeared in front of Lu Ming. This open space was very large, and he couldn't see the end of it. At this time, a large number of people had gathered in this open space. The sky prides of various clans had all arrived. Everyone carefully looked at the open space under their feet. Lu Ming also realized that something was amiss. The ground was filled with strange runes. The runes were twisted in an irregular pattern, but they intertwined with each other to form a strange pattern. It was like the pattern on the back of a turtle. This should be an array. Someone concluded. What kind of array? Someone asked. It's an array similar to a portal. As long as you open this array, you can go to a place. The person from before said, an array similar to a portal? Many people's eyes lit up. They all thought of the same place. The Dragon Palace treasury. That's right. There was nothing in the Dragon Palace. Could it be that all the treasures had been moved to a place, and the gate was the array in front of them? Can this array be broken? Someone asked. It will take some time, but it shouldn't be difficult. A young man answered. The Sky Prides here came from various major clans in the primitive universe, and each of them was good at different things. Some clans were very good at array formations. Okay, let's begin then, everyone said, and some of them couldn't wait. Then, some who were good at array formations began to study array formations. Swish! Suddenly, a few figures flashed and surrounded Lu Ming. Lu Ming, you really dare to come. I didn't have time to deal with you before, but now, die. Jin Yin said coldly. His voice was full of murderous intent. The other few people were also top monsters of the Vajra clan. The gazes of the others also turned to this side. Then, a few more figures flashed and rushed over. Powerful auras shrouded Lu Ming. This kid is mine. One of the young men with 8 arms sneered. He was also a top sky pride who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet more than 30 years ago. Now that he had reached the 6th level Divine Lord realm, his strength was not weaker than Jin Yin. This person also led a few powerful clansmen to surround Lu Ming. Well, this kid is not weak. If you and I join forces, we have a better chance. Jin Yin said. Count me in. Another cold voice sounded. A young man with green skin walked over. At a glance, one could tell that this person was a vine. His hair was made of vines that danced like small snakes. Lu Ming had once killed a sky pride of the Vine clan. This person was going to avenge that sky pride of the Vine clan. This person was also a top powerhouse. 3 top powerhouses and more than a dozen monstrous experts held Lu Ming back. There were other top powerhouses around, such as the 2-headed wolf clan, who did not participate. It was not that these people did not want to participate, but they wanted to sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight, then reap the benefits. After all, no one would not be tempted by a condition from the Winged Men clan. Chapter 36:53. Lu Ming's expression turned cold. Did these people really think he was a pushover that they could bully? Kill. Suddenly, Lu Ming attacked. Stepping on the wind, extinguishing boots, he charged in a certain direction, his spear light stabbing in that direction. Strike first and gain the upper hand. However, Jin Yin and the others were already prepared. The moment Lu Ming attacked, Jin Yin and the others attacked as well. Boom, boom, boom. Powerful auras erupted. Jin Yin and the others were covered in resplendent light. This kid is trying to escape. Stop him. Don't let him escape. With a furious roar, Jin Yin and the expert from the Vine clan pounced on Lu Ming. Terrifying fist energy and emerald green vines wrapped around Lu Ming. Boom. Lu Ming directly took out the Gate of Gods to block in front of him. The attacks of Jin Yin and the Vine Race prodigy landed on the Gate of Dominion, causing it to shake continuously. However, the Gate of Dominion had already severed 2 of its shackles, so it successfully blocked the attacks of Jin Yin and the Vine Race prodigy. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming turned and charged in another direction. Ding ling ling as he charged out, the heavenly evil bell rang. The heavenly evil bell's soul attack spread out. Jin Yin and the other two strongest experts didn't feel anything, but the others froze. Just like that, their fate was sealed. Swish, swish. The tyrant god's spear turned into two resplendent spear lights, stabbing at two multi-hand race experts. Some of the multi-hand race had 4 arms, while others had 6. The more arms they had, the higher their talent. The two multi-hand race experts that Lu Ming attacked both had 6 arms. They were very talented and had a 4th-level Divine Lord cultivation base. They were peak monsters that had recently entered the dragon race's mother planet. However, in front of the current Lu Ming, they couldn't withstand a single blow. Poo-pu. 2 explosions rang out as blood splattered everywhere. The 2 sky prides of the multi-hand race were killed on the spot. Damn it! The 8-armed multi-armed race freak roared in anger. His 8 palms glowed brightly, and each of his palms shot out a terrifying attack towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming shook the Overlord God's spear and continued to resist. This person was really strong. Lu Ming burst out with all his strength and could only barely block the other party's attack. At this moment, Jin Yin and the prodigy from the Vine tribe also charged forward. Everyone else, back off. Just assist in the attack, Jin Yin shouted. Among those present, only the 3 top experts were capable of fighting against Lu Ming. If the others were to join the battle, they would most likely be killed by Lu Ming. Therefore, Jin Yin had ordered the others to stay far away. They only needed to interfere with Lu Ming. The few Golden Yin race and multi-hand race youths retreated hastily, trying to distance themselves from Lu Ming. On the other hand, Jin Yin and the other 2 unleashed a barrage of attacks. Kill. Lu Ming activated the God's Gate with all his strength. A whirlpool appeared on top of the God's Gate, and a roar came from within. Then a scaly arm reached out and grabbed at Jin Yin. Boom! Jin Yin punched out, clashing with the arm within the God's Gate. Then Lu Ming brandished the Overlord God Spear and stabbed it at Jin Yin. The 2 consecutive attacks forced Jin Yin to retreat. Lu Ming took the chance to charge past them. I'm not going to play with you anymore. Lu Ming's voice rang out as he pulled away from Jin Yin and the others. Facing 3 such experts, Lu Ming was indeed not their match. But if he wanted to leave, with the speed of the wind extinguishing boots, they wouldn't be able to stop him. Damn it! If you have the guts, don't leave. Jin Yin roared. Are you stupid or am I stupid? The 3 of you are at the 6th level of the Divine Lord realm, yet you want me to leave? You really are geniuses. Lu Ming's tone was full of sarcasm as he emphasized the 2 words, genius. That made Jin Yin and the others' expressions turn ugly. Look, what is this? Suddenly, a shout rang out. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and was stunned. The 2 multi-hand races geniuses that Lu Ming had just killed were lying on the ground. Their blood was being absorbed by the ground, and the runes on the ground were shining with a blood-red light as if they were alive. I know. The method to break this formation is very simple. You just need to pour blood on it, shouted one of the youths who had broken the formation. Everyone's hearts shook. You just need to water it with fresh blood. This method is very simple. Suddenly, a miserable cry rang out. It turned out that someone had suddenly made a move, attacking the person beside him. Damn it! How dare you! Flying fish races people, die! You sneak attack! You're despicable! Chaos erupted all of a sudden. The geniuses present came from different races, and many of them had enmity with each other. Previously, because they had a common goal and the other races were eyeing them covetously, they hadn't attacked. But now, after learning that the method to break the formation was to pour blood on it, some of them couldn't help but attack their enemies. Use your blood to open the formation. Use your mother? You're the one who should be using it. Kill. Die for me. The scene fell into chaos. Everyone was fighting fiercely. Jin Yin, the multi-hand race's geniuses, and the others also stopped attacking Lu Ming and stayed with their people to avoid being killed by others. That was because some terrifying geniuses had also attacked. There were also some terrifying existences that wanted to take the opportunity to attack Lu Ming, but now they had no choice but to stop. In a chaotic battle, a large number of geniuses were killed. In just a short while, over 100 people had died. These people fell to the ground, and their blood was absorbed by the ground. The blood flowed along the runes on the ground, emitting a dazzling light. When all of the veined patterns were connected, a pillar of light shot up into the sky. The entire ground was glowing, and there was even a slight tremor. "The formation is about to open," shouted someone. Many people hastily stopped fighting and retreated. However, some people's eyes were bloodshot. Since they were still fighting, they looked like they wanted to kill their opponents. Crack. Cracking sounds came from the ground. Those runes seemed like they were about to split open. At the same time, a scorching aura spread out. This scorching aura was extremely hot. The temperature was shockingly high. Many people felt like their bodies were about to ignite. At that moment, the people who were still fighting no longer dared to continue fighting. They all stopped and rushed to the surroundings, arriving at a place where there were no veined patterns. Those places without runes weren't scorching at all. It was very strange. At this time, the ground had become fiery red. It was as if flames were burning. A moment later, with a loud boom, the ground exploded. Then, a pitch-black tunnel with a fiery red glow appeared before everyone's eyes. Chapter 36:54. A huge passageway appeared in front of everyone. This passageway looked pitch black, but there was a faint red light spreading out. As for that scorching aura, it had also disappeared. "It's open." Many people's eyes revealed a scorching light. In their opinion, this must be the place where the Dragon Palace hid their treasures. Swish! Someone couldn't bear it and rushed out. Of course, he was very careful, using his divine power and divine artifact to protect himself. However, nothing strange happened. That person floated above the passageway, pondered for a moment, and then rushed into the passageway. "Let's go." At this time, the others also couldn't bear it. Their figures flickered, and they rushed into the passageway, and then rushed down. Lu Ming was at the back. Seeing the others rushing down, Lu Ming also rushed up. If this was the place where the Dragon Palace hid their treasures, they couldn't miss it. As for experts like Jin Yin, Lu Ming was confident that he could escape even if he couldn't defeat them. The passageway was very big, and it went straight down. As soon as Lu Ming and the others rushed into the passageway, they felt a strong gravitational force acting on them, trying to pull them down. Of course, they could still withstand this gravitational force, and they could also fly up. However, their goal was to go down, so they went with the flow. Their bodies were like meteorites, rapidly falling down. Whoosh! Whoosh! The wind blew, and they fell very fast. However, this passageway seemed to be unfathomably deep. They fell for a few hours, but they still hadn't reached the bottom. With their falling speed, the distance of a few hours was already very shocking, but they still hadn't reached the bottom of the passageway. How deep was this passageway? This passageway won't lead to the core of the Dragon Clan's mother planet, right? Someone muttered. Hearing this, the others' faces changed slightly. The Dragon Clan's mother planet was not an ordinary planet. Even the surface was extraordinary. Would the core of the planet be dangerous? But at this point, how could they give up so easily? They kept falling. 5 hours, 10 hours. 1 day, 2 days. They kept falling for 3 days, and the further they went, the higher the temperature. The air was filled with a scorching aura. Were they really going to reach the core of the planet? Everyone's face was solemn. In 3 days, they didn't know how much distance they had fallen. At this time, everyone could see a bright red light below. They were going to reach it. Everyone's spirits are lifted. Sure enough, not long after, everyone descended into a huge underground space. This underground space was extremely vast, as if it was a world of its own. Everyone's eyes were wide open because the underground space was too spectacular. At the bottom was the lava lake. The boundless magma emitted a scorching aura and the smell of sulfur. Everyone needed to circulate their divine power to withstand the high temperature in the air. And in the space above the magma lake, there were many floating mountains. Yes, there were numerous mountains floating in the air. The mountains were completely red, and needless to say, the temperature was shockingly high. The most shocking thing was that there were actually living creatures living on the mountain peak. Quack, quack, the sounds of birds chirping could be heard as fiery red birds flew out from the mountain peaks one after another. These birds had crimson feathers that seemed to have flames dancing on them. They swooped down from the hanging mountain towards the lava lake. Like arrows released from a bow, their slender beaks plunged into the lava lake, and in the next moment, a fiery red fish appeared in their beaks. Everyone was dumbfounded. This was the core of the dragon race's mother planet. In the sky above the lava lake, there were mountains floating. On the mountains lived a type of bird, and in the lava lake, there were actually fish, forming a simple ecosystem that left everyone dumbfounded. Amazing, truly amazing. Someone sighed. Is the treasure of the Dragon Palace here? Perhaps it's hidden somewhere. Not to mention the treasure of the Dragon Palace, even in such an environment, there should be peerless treasures. Let's go and look for it. The various geniuses discussed for a while, then spread out and flew in all directions to search. Their targets were the floating mountains and the lava lake. Gee, when someone approached one of the floating mountains, a bird chirped, and a fiery bird flew out like a fiery red sword, stabbing towards one of the geniuses. Scram! The sky pride roared in anger as he sent out a resplendent palm strike towards the firebird. With a boom, the fiery bird was sent flying, but it was fine. After rolling a few times, it roared angrily and pounced towards the youth. At the same time, a few dozen fiery birds flew out from the mountain. We're here to help you. That genius did not come alone, but with his clansmen. Over 100 geniuses charged towards the fiery birds. The fiery birds finally could not resist, and more than half of them were killed, while the rest hurriedly fled. Roar! At this time, there was also an abnormality in the lava below. Someone was looking at the surface of the lava. Suddenly, the lava churned, and a giant fish appeared, swallowing a genius in one gulp, and then disappeared into the lava. Many people's hearts sank. It seemed that there were not only small fish under the lava, but also terrifying and ferocious giant fish. This place was not that safe. Everyone braced themselves, and while on guard, they searched. Suddenly, news came from a direction, saying that there was a major discovery. Everyone hurriedly rushed in that direction, and looming followed behind silently. Soon, they arrived at their destination. That is, many people could not help but widen their eyes. In front of them, there was a huge lotus. Yes, a fiery red lotus was floating in the air. The lotus was in full bloom, and in the middle of the lotus was a small dragon. To be precise, it was not a real dragon, but more like a stream of air. A stream of air as thick as a thumb, about a meter long, was suspended vertically above the lotus, constantly twisting and turning. At first, it looked like a small dragon, but in the next moment, it turned into a transparent stream of air. The shape of the stream of air and the shape of the dragon were constantly changing. It was a stream of energy. That was the consensus of everyone. A stream of energy was suspended above a fiery red lotus, and it looked extraordinary at first glance. Someone could not help but want to fly forward. Don't go up, it's very dangerous there. Someone went up before, but before he could get close to the lotus, he died and turned into ashes. Someone hurriedly reminded them. As soon as that was said, many people were shocked, and those who were about to step forward also stopped. No wonder the news spread. It turned out that it was not so easy to get it. If it was easy to get it, it would have been taken away long ago. How could the news spread? What's going on? Someone asked. I don't know. When someone got close, he directly turned into ashes. Someone said with a grave expression. Chapter 36:55. Instead of dispelling everyone's thoughts, it made some people even more greedy. The more dangerous and strange it was, the more extraordinary it was. Moreover, everyone had a preconceived notion that this was the treasure trove of the Dragon Palace, so they were even more certain that it was a treasure. This is a fire attribute treasure. Ordinary people definitely don't have the fortune to enjoy it. This kind of treasure should belong to my sacred flaming lion clan. At this moment, a burly young man sneered. He was wearing a fiery red armor, and his skin was red. As he circulated his divine power, his whole body exuded a scorching aura. This was a genius from the Divine Flaming Lion clan. The Divine Flaming Lion clan was a clan that was born to play with fire. It was also an extremely powerful clan on the list of 10,000 primitive clans. When others came here, they would feel uncomfortable all over and need to circulate their divine power to resist the scorching aura outside. However, when the Divine Flaming Lion clan came here, not only did they not feel uncomfortable, but they felt very comfortable. They were like fish in water. Cultivating here would make their cultivation speed faster. Therefore, in the eyes of the Divine Flaming Lion clan, the treasure on the Fire Lotus was their opportunity. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan stepped forward with a cold and arrogant expression and flew toward the Fire Lotus. Of course, he didn't dare to be careless. The fiery red armor shone and covered his body tightly. In addition, he also took out several divine weapons, all of which were monarch-level divine weapons. There was a fiery red shield and a fiery red bead. Several treasures shrouded him tightly. Then, he approached the Fire Lotus. He was getting closer and closer. Soon, the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan was within 1,000 meters of the Fire Lotus. Suddenly, very abruptly, the body of the Divine Flaming Lion clan burned fiercely. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan was originally covered in flames. His treasures were also filled with heat, and the temperature was shockingly high. However, on the basis that he was covered in flames, he burned. It was as if the flames on the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan were not flames, but charcoal. The genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan only let out a scream. Then his body, along with his divine weapons, directly turned into ashes and scattered on the magma lake. This, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Although the genius of the Divine Flaming Lion clan only had a third-level Divine Lord cultivation base, he controlled flames. Ordinary flames were useless to him and would instead become his tonic. But now, he only had time to let out a miserable scream before dying on the spot. That's terrifying. Everyone looked at each other. For a moment, no one dared to step forward. What the hell is this? I don't know, but it is definitely a rare treasure. Nonsense, it's so strange. It's definitely a treasure. The question is, how did I get it? The sky prides of the various clans discussed fervently. Let me try. At this moment, another voice resounded, and then a figure charged out. This was a red-robed young man, and he was also a fire-type creature. Everyone recognized that he was from the fire spirit race. Boom, the young man's aura erupted, and his body completely transformed into a ball of flames. A powerful aura filled the air. 6th level Divine Lord. Many people were shocked. This was a top monster. Furthermore, he entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. His cultivation already reached 6th level Divine Lord and was one of the strongest people present. However, he was also very cautious. He completely transformed into flames and slowly flew forward. Soon, he was within 1,000 meters of the Fire Lotus. Out of thin air, a layer of flames appeared on his body and burned fiercely. However, the man from the Fire Spirit clan didn't burn to ashes like the prodigy from the Divine Fire Lion clan. He successfully withstood the attack. Then, he slowly approached the Fire Lotus. Blocked it. Looks like he's going to succeed. The Fire Spirit race is stronger than the Divine Fire Lion race in playing with fire. Moreover, his cultivation is still 6th level Divine Lord. It's normal for him to block it. Everyone discussed. As for the Fire Spirit race youth, he slowly approached the Fire Lotus. He was getting closer and closer to the Fire Lotus. When he was 100 meters away from the Fire Lotus, he suddenly let out a scream of horror. No! The Fire Spirit race youth roared. The flames twisted as if he wanted to retreat. But at the next moment, with a bang, his body directly exploded and disappeared without a trace. Dead. Everyone looked at each other, their faces pale. Even the Fire Spirit race's prodigy, a 6th level Divine Lord existence, could not get close to the Fire Lotus. It seemed that they could not get this treasure. What is this treasure? Has anyone seen it before? I don't know. I've never seen or heard of it before. Let's send it to the Dream Realm and ask the seniors of the various races. Then, They used the Dream Realm Divine Jade to record the fire lotus and the airflow above it and placed it in the Dream Realm. How is this possible? How can this thing be here? At this moment, in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness, Bone Devil seemed to have received a great shock and screamed in disbelief. Of course, outsiders could not hear it. Only Lu Ming could hear it. "Senior Bone Devil, what's wrong?" Lu Ming asked in surprise. Bone Devil's origin was mysterious and unfathomable. In the past, no matter what he encountered, he was very calm. It was rare for him to lose his composure. But now, Lu Ming could clearly see that Bone Devil's pitch-black bones were trembling. The two souls in his eye sockets were constantly jumping. Lu Ming could clearly feel shock, horror, greed, disbelief, fear, and other different emotions. What could make Bone Devil do such a thing? That lotus, or that airflow above it? What could make Bone Devil lose his composure? Did I see wrongly? No, I shouldn't have seen wrongly. Why would this thing appear here? I understand. I finally understand why the divine dragon race was destroyed. Bone Devil did not answer Lu Ming's question. Instead, he muttered to himself. However, Lu Ming was greatly shocked. Bone Devil had guessed the truth behind the divine dragon race's destruction. Lu Ming had always been curious as to why those powerful races would join hands to besiege the divine dragon race. Even the heavenly palace had taken action. Could it be that Bone Devil understood? "Senior Bone Devil, what do you understand?" Lu Ming hurriedly asked. "It's because of that airflow," Bone Devil said. That airflow above the lotus." Lu Ming looked at the airflow above the lotus, full of suspicion. Just because of this airflow, the divine dragon race, which had dominated the universe back then, was annihilated. That airflow was so shocking. "Kid, don't underestimate that airflow. If I'm not wrong, that's a taboo power," Bone Devil said. Chapter 3656. When he said the word taboo, the soul fire in Bone Devil's eye sockets flickered, revealing a deep fear and yearning. It was very complicated. Taboo power. Lu Ming was shocked. When he heard the word taboo power, he thought of Xian Yinqing. Back then, when Hong Yang came to take away Xian Yinqing and Xian Yinjuan, he had mentioned that Xian Yinqing's father in his previous life was a taboo. What was the relationship between the two? What is taboo power? Lu Ming asked the question in his heart. I don't know exactly what taboo power is. It's very mysterious, but what I can be sure of is that it's a kind of heaven-defying power. Once it's fused, one's talent will reach an unimaginable level, and one's future will be limitless. It's a kind of supreme treasure that nothing can compare to. However, I heard a legend that the Heavenly Palace is extremely afraid of taboo power. Once they know about taboo power, they will do whatever it takes to get it. So I guess that the Divine Dragon Clan obtained taboo power, and that's why they were annihilated by the Heavenly Palace. Bone Devil said, a power that even the Heavenly Palace is afraid of. Lu Ming was deeply shocked. In the primitive universe, at the beginning of the universe, the primordial divine spirits were born. That era was called the Age of Incipient Gods, and the primordial divine spirits dominated the world. Later, the Heavenly Palace appeared and fought with the primordial divine spirits and almost destroyed the primordial divine spirits. Since then, the Heavenly Palace was high and mighty, ruling the vast universe, and entered the age of Heavenly Palace. Even the powerful Heavenly Palace was afraid of taboo power. Then, Xian Yinqing's father in his previous life was called a taboo. Was it related to taboo power? If that was the case, then the enemy of Xian Yinqing's family in his previous life was the Heavenly Palace. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of a lot of things. At the same time, his heart was burning. Even the Heavenly Palace was afraid of power. If he could get it, then, the more he thought about it, the more Lu Ming's heart was burning. But when he thought of the Fire Spirit Clan, Lu Ming shook his head and sighed. Maybe he would be turned into ashes before he could get close. A power that even the Heavenly Palace feared would not be easy to obtain. At this time, Guillemot also seemed to have a lot on his mind. He did not continue to speak, as if he was thinking about something. But not long after, there was an uproar in the dreamland, because someone from the Heavenly Palace had appeared. Moreover, it was a great figure of the heavenly palace. It was all because of that strand of chi. Previously, someone had transmitted the airflow from the fire lotus into the illusory space, which had attracted the attention of the heavenly palace. This shocked the whole starry sky. But what was even more shocking was yet to come. An important person from the heavenly palace came out and asked the heavenly legends in the Dragon Clan's mother planet to get the heavenly legend. They must get it, whether they use it for themselves or keep it with treasures. The heavenly palace would confer the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven to whoever got it. Once this news came out, the entire primitive universe, countless races, and countless forces were in an uproar. Even the top 10 races were in an uproar. The heavenly palace would confer the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven to whoever got the heavenly legend. Countless people's eyes were red, especially the heavenly legends who entered the Dragon Clan's mother planet. Their eyes were full of greed. Those who did not enter the Dragon Clan's mother planet were all envious. Once they became Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven, they would have a meteoric rise. They were Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. Only the top heavenly legends in the heavenly palace could be conferred the title of Son of Heaven or Daughter of Heaven. It was like an ordinary person suddenly becoming a prince or daughter of heaven. In fact, the heavenly palace would recruit a group of heavenly legends from the primitive universe every once in a while and train them in the heavenly palace. However, after these heavenly legends entered the heavenly palace, they could only become heavenly soldiers. For example, in the secular dynasty, heavenly soldiers were ordinary soldiers, and heavenly legends were princes or daughters of heaven. Their identities were worlds apart. It would be strange if the heavenly legends of various races were not jealous. However, when they thought of the danger around the fire lotus, many people's hearts sank. How to get the heavenly legend? Someone asked in the heavenly dream jade. Soon, the important person from the heavenly palace gave a reply. That strand of heavenly legend had been refined by an expert of the divine dragon race back then. It had been sealed here for countless years, causing the life forms around the lava lake to have a trace of that strand of heavenly legend's characteristics. As long as he killed the creatures here, he would be able to fuse the strange energy of these creatures into his body. He would be able to create a resistance that would allow him to better block the attack of the airflow. As long as they fused with more of that aura, they might be able to fuse with that strand of heavenly legend's aura. So that's how it is. No wonder I felt a strange aura from that heavenly legend's aura when I killed that heavenly legend's heavenly legend. Someone muttered. Attack. After that, the heavenly legends of various races began to search for the life forms in the heart of the heavenly dragon race's mother planet to kill. A huge battle immediately broke out in this space. On the floating mountain peak, the heavenly legend wailed as it was besieged by many heavenly legends. On the lava lake, many heavenly legends were bombarding the lava lake, forcing out the life forms inside and fighting them. It seems Bone Devil was right. Looking at the dreamy space, even the big shots of the heavenly palace had spoken. Lu Ming was certain that even the heavenly palace was wary of this wisp of air current. Lu Ming, do you want this strand of chi? At that moment, Guamo asked directly. Why wouldn't I want such a treasure? Lu Ming replied. I can tell you that even if you manage to refine this strand of forbidden energy, your fighting strength will not immediately explode. It will not explode to the point where the heavenly palace is afraid of you. That's impossible. After fusing with the taboo energy, you'll have the legendary taboo body. It'll just raise your talent to a shocking level. What the heavenly palace fears is actually this kind of talent. Therefore, once you fuse with the taboo energy, your battle prowess will not skyrocket, but you will be on the opposite side of the heavenly palace. I've heard of a legend. A forbidden body is a heaven-defying person. Guamo said, heaven-defying heaven refers to the heavenly palace. Lu Ming asked, that's right. Therefore, once you fuse with the taboo energy, you will definitely be on the opposite side of the heavenly palace and become an enemy of the heavenly palace. You have to think about this carefully. Guamo said. Lu Ming pondered. The heavenly palace was the ruler of the primitive universe. Becoming an enemy of the heavenly palace was something that no one wanted to see or face. Because in the primitive universe, Becoming an enemy of the heavenly palace was equivalent to courting death. Even a powerful race like the divine dragon race was annihilated. However, Lu Ming quickly made a decision. Chapter 36:57. I've decided to fuse, Lu Ming said. Yes, even if he would end up on the opposite side of the heavenly palace and become an enemy of the heavenly palace, he would still fuse. Because Lu Ming had a feeling that the greatest enemy of Xian Yinqing's family in his previous life was very likely the heavenly palace. Therefore, even if he did not fuse with the taboo energy, he would most likely end up on the opposite side of the heavenly palace and become an enemy of the heavenly palace. Therefore, there was nothing to consider. Kid, you're really daring, Bone Demon said, but Lu Ming clearly felt that Bone Demon seemed to be relieved. As if he was expecting Lu Ming's reply. This made Lu Ming somewhat curious. Could it be that Bone Demon had a grudge against the heavenly palace? But kid, let me tell you, although you want to fuse with the taboo energy, the success rate is still very small, very, very small. Bone Demon said again. Even if you kill the creatures here and fuse with the energy to create resistance, it still won't work, Lu Ming asked. Yes, the people of the heavenly palace let the geniuses of various races fuse with the taboo energy. They're just trying it out with the lives of these people. Let me tell you, your success rate is only 0.999%. Bone Demon said. Stop. Lu Ming hurriedly stopped him, cold sweat dripping down his forehead. You're looking down on me too much. It's not that I'm looking down on you, but in history, anyone who can successfully fuse with the taboo energy is an unparalleled peerless genius. Their talent is unimaginably high, and they also have great luck. They're the main characters of an era. You're still far from that. Bone Demon was not stingy with his attacks on Lu Ming. I'm also the main character of an era, okay? Lu Ming retorted. You? Haha. Bone Demon sneered. All right. Lu Ming smiled brightly. He was just bragging. He knew himself well and did not think that he was the main character of an era. Try your best, but don't have too much hope, Guamo said. Lu Ming nodded, then rushed in a certain direction and landed on a stretch of lava. Voila! Suddenly, the magma churned and a giant fish that was more than 10 meters long dashed out. It opened its huge mouth and swallowed Lu Ming in one gulp. I have been waiting for you. Lu Ming smiled and thrust out his tyrant god spear. This sort of gargantuan fish was very strong. Its entire body was covered in fiery red scales. Its defensive power was very shocking. Ordinary third-level divine lord geniuses would find it very hard to deal with this sort of gargantuan fish alone. However, against Lu Ming, there was only one outcome for Juyu, and that was to be killed instantly. Puff the tyrant god spear pierced through the giant fish's head. Chi-chi, a burst of black smoke actually emerged from the tyrant god spear. Then, a scorching aura flowed along the tyrant god spear and surged towards Lu Ming's palm. Such a high temperature. Lu Ming didn't expect that after killing this kind of giant fish, the other party could still burst out with such terrifying heat to counterattack him. Although this temperature might be dangerous to others, it was nothing to Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated his divine energy and poured it into the tyrant god spear, forcing back that scorching aura. Then, the tyrant god spear shook, and the giant fish's body split apart. A mysterious aura spread. This aura was somewhat similar to the taboo energy, but it was countless times fainter. That was because these giant fish had lived here for so long that they were too close to the taboo energy. Generation after generation, their bodies carried a trace of the taboo energy's aura. It was the same for those flame birds. They first fused with this kind of aura. The more they fused with it, the more resistant they would become to the taboo energy. Later on, fusing with the taboo energy would be easier. Lu Ming directly sucked in that strand of aura into Lu Ming's mouth. That strand of aura fused into his body. Afterward, Lu Ming released his spiritual senses and scanned the magma lake, looking for living creatures in the magma lake. Found it. Lu Ming's eyes brightened, and he thrust out his spear. A spearlight stabbed into the lava lake. Boom! The lava exploded, and another giant fish rushed out of the lava lake. This fish was even larger than the one Lu Ming had just killed. It was over 20 meters long. As soon as it charged out, it opened its mouth and shot out a fiery red arrow at Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming swept out his spear and hit the fiery red arrow. There was a violent explosion. Buzz! The tyrant god's spear buzzed. That fiery red arrow's power was shockingly strong. Swish! Seeing Lu Ming block it, the giant fish opened its mouth again. This time, it shot out 7 fiery red arrows at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stepped on the wind, extinguishing boots, and his figure flashed, dodging the 7 arrows. He appeared above the giant fish's head and stabbed out with his spear. The giant fish's body was also pierced, and it died on the spot. Then, a strange aura appeared and was absorbed by Lu Ming. Yes, it's even denser than the previous one, Lu Ming muttered. He found that this aura was a bit denser than the previous one. Could it be that the stronger the giant fish, the denser that aura would be? Next, Lu Ming began experimenting. He constantly searched for giant fish to kill. As expected, the stronger the giant fish's cultivation base, the denser that aura would be. This was the core of the dragon race's mother planet. It was extremely vast. Lu Ming found a secluded place to quietly kill these giant fish. He wasn't worried that others would be the first to fuse with the taboo energy. According to the Bone Devil, the chances of fusing with the taboo energy were inconceivably low. If you weren't a peerless genius, you wouldn't be able to succeed. So it was extremely difficult for the various races' heavenly geniuses to succeed. Furthermore, the more of this aura fused with the giant fish, the higher the success rate. So Lu Ming wanted to fuse with as much of this aura as possible. At this time, the various races' heavenly geniuses had all scattered to capture the life forms here. There were fierce battles everywhere. It was very difficult for ordinary heavenly geniuses to kill these giant fish. So there were constantly geniuses dying in the giant fish's mouths and being devoured. Time quickly passed. A few hours later, Lu Ming had already killed over a dozen giant fish and fused with over a dozen strange auras. Splash! Suddenly, huge waves surged in the magma lake. Streams of magma danced like long snakes, entangling Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He soared into the air, dodging the lava's attack. Splash! The lava continued to surge. Then, a huge creature appeared. This was also a giant fish, but it was over 100 meters long. It's so big. Lu Ming's eyes widened. Instead of being shocked, he was delighted. For such a huge fish to contain such a unique aura, it must be very rich. The giant fish let out a strange cry. Its huge body twisted, and it charged out of the lava lake. It soared into the sky and charged at Lu Ming. Its entire body glowed and streaks of fiery red light blades slashed toward Lu Ming. The power was astonishing. Chapter 3658. Streaks of fiery red light blades. The power was extremely astonishing, comparable to divine weapons. Lu Ming shook his spear, turning into several dozen spear lights, colliding with these light blades. Berserk force stirred up magma waves, exploding several hundred meters high. Bang! Bang! In an instant, both sides clashed several dozen moves. Several spear lights broke through, stabbing into the giant fish's body. It actually emitted the sound of metal clashing, sparks flying everywhere. Lu Ming's spear lights actually did not break the giant fish's scales, only leaving behind a few marks on them. Strength isn't bad. Lu Ming's gaze flashed. This giant fish's cultivation was at least equivalent to a 6th-level Divine Lord powerhouse. However, ordinary 6th-level Divine Lords did not enter Lu Ming's eyes. They could only be considered not bad. The giant fish let out a strange cry, its entire body shining. Opening its mouth, fiery red arrows flew out. These arrows practically condensed into substance, sparkling and translucent, piercing the air, making the air explode continuously. The power of this arrow was much stronger than the arrow shot by the giant fish he had encountered before. Kill! Lu Ming shouted loudly, stimulating the power of 8 drops of primordial divine blood. Man and spear becoming one, charging over. Bang! All of the arrows were blown apart by Lu Ming's spear. The spear light did not stop, stabbing into the giant fish's head. Under the situation where Lu Ming's nearly all-out attack, the giant fish's body directly exploded, its bones shattered. With Lu Ming's present combat strength, he could even fight with Jin Yan. Jin Yan's cultivation was also 6th-level Divine Lord. But he was a monster among monsters. He was absolutely not what ordinary 6th-level Divine Lords could compare to. The difference was huge. This giant fish was also 6th-level Divine Lord, but it could only be considered ordinary. Even in an environment like magma, its combat strength was somewhat increased. But under Lu Ming's nearly all-out attack, it could only be insta-killed. The giant fish exploded. A strange aura emerged. Lu Ming was just about to absorb this strand of qi when suddenly, a fierce whistling sound came from behind him. Several vines swept towards him at an astonishing speed. A few of them swept towards Lu Ming, while the others targeted that wisp of aura. Lu Ming's eyes turned cold as he activated his wind-extinguishing boots. His body dashed forward, and as he did so, he sucked in the wisp of qi. At the same time, he dodged the attacks of the vines and turned around to look behind him. "It's you." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with killing intent. The one who attacked him was none other than the Vine Tribe prodigy who had teamed up with Jin Yan and the others to deal with him. He was an extremely powerful monster. "Your reaction is quite fast." The Vine Race Freak's eyes were cold, and his snake-like hair danced in the wind. "You're courting death," shouted Lu Ming as he charged at the Vine Race Freak. This person had repeatedly attacked him. In Lu Ming's heart, he had already sentenced him to death. Whoosh! Whoosh! The vine monster waved his hands and the vines were like long whips, sweeping toward Lu Ming. Each of the vines was astonishingly powerful. Boom! Lu Ming shot out his spear, but this time, his spear wasn't aimed at the Vine Race Freak, but at the lava below. When the attack landed, the lava exploded, creating a wave of lava that was thousands of meters high. It surged towards the prodigy of the Vine Tribe. The vines that swept out were covered by the lava and immediately started burning. The Vine Race Freak's expression changed, and he frantically retreated. The greatest weakness of plant life was that they were afraid of fire. Only a very small number of plant life forms were not afraid of fire, such as the Divine Sun Tree and the Raging Flame Sky Bamboo. However, this Vine Race Freak was clearly afraid of fire. The moment he retreated, Lu Ming gave chase, and a resplendent spear light shot towards him. Boom! At this moment, the air beside him shook violently, and there was a huge explosion. A golden fist, as huge as a mountain, smashed toward Lu Ming. "Jin Yan!" shouted Lu Ming. Lu Ming didn't even need to look to know that the one attacking him was Jin Yan. Jin Yan's combat power was very shocking. Even Lu Ming did not dare to be careless. He could only change the direction of his attack at the last minute. The tyrannical god's spear turned midway and swept out toward Jin Yan's fist. Boom! Their attacks collided, and then Lu Ming was forced back. Of course, Jin Yan was also forced back. "Lu Ming, this will be your burial ground." Jin Yan stared at Lu Ming, his golden eyes flickering with killing intent. "You think you can kill me with just the two of you? Aren't you a bit too naive?" sneered Lu Ming. Even if he wasn't a match for the two of them, escaping was still very easy. "What if you add me in?" Another cold voice rang out. Following that, a youth with 8 arms attacked. His 8 palms were shining brightly, as if he was preparing some kind of powerful move. That was the multi-hand race freak. However, this matter wasn't over. "How lively!" Another voice rang out. Looking in the direction of the voice, 3 figures appeared at the same time. These 3 people were clearly from different races, but they came at the same time. One of them made Lu Ming extremely wary. This person had 2 wolf heads. He was the 2-headed wolf race's freak, a peerless genius at the 7th level of the Divine Lord realm. The other 2 weren't simple. They were also existences that had entered the dragon race's mother planet over 30 years ago. A total of 6 experts surrounded Lu Ming vaguely. Lu Ming's expression sank. This was troublesome. He didn't expect that the other side would send 6 peak freaks at once. They wanted to kill him in one fell swoop, making it impossible for him to escape. "Everyone, let's work together. This kid has mastered many kinds of origin secret techniques. He has a speed-type origin secret technique that is extremely fast. If we don't work together, I'm afraid he'll escape. Jin Yin said. Of course, he was talking to the three monstrous geniuses from the two-headed wolf race. This was because the two-headed wolf race's trio didn't make a move the last time. However, this time, Jin Yin wanted to get the two-headed wolf race's trio to attack together. This way, no matter how fast Lu Ming was, he wouldn't be able to escape. Only death awaited him. You want to kill me because of a condition from the winged race's almighty, right? However, the winged race's almighty only has one condition. If you all work together to kill me, how are we going to split the reward? Lu Ming spoke, wanting to drive a wedge between the other party. As long as they didn't work together, or if the two-headed wolf race's almighty didn't make a move, he was confident that he could escape. As expected, these people's eyes flickered. Clearly, they were thinking about Lu Ming's words. There were 6 of them. If they worked together to kill Lu Ming, who would get the credit? Who would get the winged race's almighty's condition? Everyone, I'll be frank. I have something that I need the help of the winged race's almighty. If we kill this kid, the winged race's almighty's condition will belong to me. However, I will compensate everyone with treasures of the same value. Jin Yin said, "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.